So in today's video, we're going to talk about why cars cost so much money nowadays. That includes the used car market and the new car market. Two separate things. You have to be careful either way you look at it. So, recently you would have been seeing ads on your TV everywhere with different car companies. Most of them look like this.
Do you want a new car? Why not buy it now? Visit our website on www.
Now with them adverts you have to be careful. Obviously you can see there's a massive price hike. Doesn't matter where you go, you're looking at finance, you're looking at normal buying your car from your money from your pocket, hard-earned cash. Although it's not the same as it used to be a couple of years ago. See, the garages all sort of had a change and effect. Obviously we had the pandemic which slowed down production. Obviously that rises costs a lot. They're having to pay workers and they're having to not have much staff in. So obviously now the pandemic's gone, we've got the issue of there's a shortage in materials. So we're talking about your nickel for your electric car batteries, anything to do like that. We can't find it anywhere to be able to put it into cars basically. It's the same with there's a gold shortage as well. See, most of our computer chips which control your ECUs, like your control your mirror modules, body control modules, everything, most things in modern cars now are all electronically operated. So you've got to think about that. So again with them chips things, they're all made sort of in Taiwan, and that again is another issue as to why these costs are hiking, and they could get worse. So there's a shortage of these chips, but with Taiwan making them, there's a bit of argy-bargy with China at the minute, and I don't know whether they're going to go to war. You've not heard it from me. It's on the news, but it might or may not happen. Let's hope it doesn't. But that again would increase the cost of these chips. See, we can see that the shortage is already here because I work for a HGV firm. Obviously I'm not going to say who I work for, but we ordered some new trucks in last year and they've only just started arriving now. And this is because the chips which control the mirror modules on the passenger side of the wagon, they just couldn't find any, couldn't get any. And I'm pretty sure now that they're giving us these wagons, and some of them do not have these modules. They're having to make them in-house so we can operate the wing mirrors. If not, you just do it manually by your hand. I've not got one of them brand new wagons. But it's clearly obvious that this shortage is happening. If you live in Lancashire and you'll drive down past the Botany Bay, it's called, you'll see there's a whole lot of DAFs parked up, and that is because most of them are awaiting these computer chips. Anyway, we digress on that. So we'll start looking at the new car market. That's why the costs have gone up. You're looking at obviously the cost of production, the cost of paying people, and the fact there's a shortage of materials. See, there's a lot of new cars in the UK and in other countries now, but there's not as many being produced as there used to be. So this is obviously because of there's no supply there. But then again, there's less people wanting to buy new and they're wanting to buy used instead. That brings us on to another subject. If you want to buy a used car, you have to be very careful. If you go to a dealership and it's used, you're going to have to do some car checks yourselves. These garages do lie quite a lot now. And what I mean by used car checks is just see if there's been any damage to the vehicle. These cars might look mint, and I mean they'll look beautifully perfect, brand new, off the line, sort of prestigious, nice. A lot of the times this isn't the case. So if you do a car check, I understand some of these aren't free to see photos and stuff like that, but some of these cars have been rebuilt, they've been written off and damaged, and the dealer will tell you nothing about it. They'll say, yeah, the checks have been done and they're all perfectly fine. There's evidence of garages doing that. So you might look at one of these car check apps and find that the vehicle's been in a front end, all the airbags have been deployed. know about you, and I don't really mind so much. But obviously when it comes to my family car, I've got to be mindful. I have a child in the car and my missus and stuff like that, and I let them drive it. So you've just got to be careful and make sure everything's being fixed correctly, which is quite hard to tell. If you're buying a new car and I'm not telling you it's being crashed, it's probably being repaired quite dodgily. So let's look more into the fact that some of these cars are damaged. Whether you're buying them used or from an online seller, it doesn't always have to be a dealership. Always do a car check. If you can't afford the car check to look at photos, always do an MOT check. See, I've bought vehicles in the past where I've had to do an MOT check before I've bought it, and I've bought one stupidly before without looking at MOT history. And once I did manage to get the chance to look at MOT history, I found out it had a mileage discrepancy of over 100,000 miles. So in theory, this vehicle had 200,000 miles on it. It was worthless. It wasn't worth the money I'd paid for it. Maybe not worthless, but it wasn't worth what I paid for it. Always make sure you're doing your checks, especially if it's damaged and you don't know about it or you haven't been told. Again, I've had the same issue before previously. I've bought a vehicle, I've went to go sell it, not realising that was anything wrong with it, and he checked the boot floor where the spare wheel is. I never thought about that myself, and I've done a lot with cars, so I was learning something then as well. But anyway, he checked the boot floor where the spare wheel was, and that was dinted in, which obviously meant that it had a rear end accident at some point. Nothing major, but it had managed to push a bit of the metal in. See, at that time I was just had a baby on the way, and I thought, what else could be wrong with this car? So I did have to put it on the advert and say, someone's came to look at it, it had a rear end shunt and it's got a dent. I put photos on, someone happily came and bought it. I did lose quite a bit of money on that vehicle because of that. So I'm not going to be one of these who mess you around and toss you to the wayside on something that I've messed up on when I went to go buy it. So if you get it for cheaper, you get it for cheaper. Hurts my pockets, but it's not going to hurt you, and you know it's there. So if you want to repair it, you can repair it. But that again is why you sell vehicles sold as seen, and that's why people sell me vehicles sold as seen. I sell vehicles sold as seen. I've told you everything I know about it. If there's something that I don't know about it that you find later down the line, it's not my problem. Just like anyone else would do. I've bought this, I've just dropped a pen down the side. I bought this, and yes, I knew it had a few issues. I thought it had a belt squeak. I've then looked at it and it appears to be an EGR valve leaking, which I'm just going to blank off. I've also got a check engine light on the dash, which leads to the EGR problem, so that's where it's pointing. It's a bit of annoyance to do on this vehicle, but we'll do a video on that when it comes to it. I've also got an air suspension light on. If any of you know Range Rovers, you know that happens. Anyway, speaking about Range Rover, as I was coming on my way home there, I drove past the Range Rover garage and it was on fire. So that's put a bit of hope in my heart that I'm hoping this does not catch fire. Fingers crossed, but that was bad. There were about 10 fire engines. Anyway, digressing again. So if you're wanting to look for a cheap car, run around, make sure you do the checks on it first. I don't want you to get screwed over, and I'm pretty sure you don't want anyone else to get screwed over. So now's the time I say share this video and give it a like, but share it because of the fact you're wanting to keep someone safe, because you think they don't know about it. Always make sure you're doing them checks. MOT for free or vehicle online checks. There's apps for it, there's websites for it. Have a look. Make sure that you're keeping yourself and your mates safe, and you're not going to buy a dodgy car, buy some dodgy dealer. We know there's a few of them around. And then we'll move on to the next subject, which is obviously tax. Vehicle tax in the UK. Yes, it's expensive. What did they do with it? Probably not fix the potholes, but we've got to say they do. So I had a diesel van, and that used to cost £25 a month. And here's where it'll start confusing you. So that was a big van, long wheelbase, it carries a lot of weight, you can chuck whatever you want in the back, it's 3.5 ton, isn't it? But then you come to a car like this. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what I've just bought. I bought a Range Rover Sport V8. Try and have a guess on what the road tax is on this a month. £65 a month. Now I'm not sure how to work that out, emissions or diesel or whatever, blah blah blah, but it just shows there's a clear difference in the market. I could drive around in a van that eats a lot of diesel and can carry a lot of weight and is more environmentally damaging. Yeah, I'll drive around in one of these Chelsea tractors and stuff like that, and they cost a lot more money to run. Not only that in diesel prices, because it's a V8, but the road tax. So it's one of these things we're going to have to get used to. Obviously the government are trying to incentivise these electronic cars, and these electronic cars are just not going to go very far. See, here in the UK we used to have a grant scheme where they'd give you so much money towards you buying a brand new electric car. Not that I want an electric car, but it might need to happen in the future. But if you look at the prices of these electronic cars, and again we've got the same issue with finding it hard to find the materials to produce them, you're looking at a lot of money, upwards of £60,000, enough to buy you a probably quite cool supercar. I say super, sports car. But then again, we've still got the same issue. The electronic cars are just not going to get us anywhere. See, the government has scrapped this grant scheme here in the UK. But then again, when the grant scheme was running, it was completely different to the other countries. See, over here, you was only getting about a couple of grand, between 1 to 2 to 3 grand for off you buying this brand new car. Whereas you go to France, Germany, Spain, Romania, I'm pretty sure Romania was giving you £10,000 towards you buying this brand new electronic car. See, that's just not going to work over here. They've scrapped the grant scheme. You can't get an electric car unless you can afford it. And if you can afford it, look at the electric prices. They're rising as well. So with the electronic prices rising, you're plugging that car in every day, a couple of weeks if you're going to work and it's only a couple of miles, but you're plugging that in. That's probably costing you on electric rate about, it's either a couple of pounds or it's a couple, £10-20 a week or whatever to charge your car. I'm not sure, I don't have one. I do have a port for one, but I don't have one. But if you're plugging this in every day, every blah blah blah, right, you're probably spending just a little short of what you would have done on a petrol prices. Obviously not diesel prices, but petrol prices. Although with a petrol car, you don't have the issue of looking for somewhere to stop, making sure there's a charger free. And again, that's another thing that's wrong in this country. We've not got chargers everywhere, here, there and everywhere. You're not going to find one of these fast chargers that are working, because a lot of them don't work in these service stations, that's going to be able to charge your car to full power, or to at least get you off the motorway. If you can't find that, you're stuck, you're going to be paying recovery bills and such like that. But then it's the same again with these. I'm not digressing, and I'm not having a go at people who own electric cars. I think they're brilliant. If I had one, I wouldn't be able to have a Tesla, although I'm not sure if I can say that on here. It would have to be the Porsche electric car. I can't remember the name of it, but they look brilliant. But I just couldn't be bothered with charging it every day and paying that much money for it. I think I looked at one of these Porsches and they're upwards of £100,000. Could probably buy a house with that. Maybe not in today's market, but I could have bought a house with that. Do I have that money? No. But then again, do you have money to buy an electric car? Probably not. Even if this government grant scheme was still running, you probably don't, especially if you're watching me. But my point is that if the money's not there, you can't do it. If you want to go out and buy a new car, you're going to be paying it off for a long time. If you're doing it on finance, it's a long time to pay off, especially with the massive price hike. So you're looking at what? Again, probably 30, 40 grand for a car you could have bought a couple of years ago for £20,000. But you can't do that today because of all these things happening in the world. And not only that, with the war in Russia and Ukraine, I say the war in Russia, the war in Ukraine that's happening, and the oil prices that have risen, everyone's profiting off it more than, you know what I mean. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going all political, I don't do political stuff. But my point is, you're paying more money for oil, you're paying more money for petrol and diesel. Yes, the prices are coming down, but you're paying more for it. Now then, if you're putting that into your car every day, you're spending a lot of money a year. I mean, it's an expensive hobby, isn't it, vehicles? Which is why I've kind of bought this. I've got a comfy daily that still goes quick. But, yes, it does guzzle diesel. Is it as much as my Subaru? It's probably on the same sort of borderline. But I've got a comfy luxury car. It's also another thing I wanted to touch base on. Vehicle thefts are on the rise. This is because a lot of these new cars have keyless entry. They don't have a key anymore that flips open. They have keyless entry. So thieves will go around, find a car that's expensive and they can take parts off or sell on. And they'll do it in a strategic way. They'll use these black box things and basically see if your car will unlock. They'll take it off your drive, they'll park it in a car park somewhere and wait a couple of hours to make sure you've not got a tracker, and then it's gone forever in a million pieces, off to China, off to anywhere. They get stripped. See, when I did recovery, the main thing was vans, keyless entry vans. They'd go in the middle of the night, and then a couple of days later they'd show up in the middle of a road with a seat belt that had been used to pull it down the road so they could disappear, and there was nothing left of it. It was basically just a carcass of a van. So make sure, if you're locking your cars, you get in a security bag or something that'll hide that RFID, whatever it is, so thieves can't get into your car and steal it. It's not too bad around this area, but just be aware it can happen. Make sure you're safe in yourself.
I would just like to say thanks for watching this video. Sorry I've not been very active at the while. We've been dealing with rallies and other things. So we hope to see you in the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with your mates. Thank you very much.